A cheap pair of Jordans. Well, comparatively cheap anyway. At $120, these shoes are the cheapest available through the brand in adult sizing. But I don't want price to distract just how great a shoe this is. And yeah, there is a spoiler in there. I do really like these shoes. It's not great because of the good price, the good looks, or the comfortable enough feel. They're great because of the story that they tell and how they tell that story. In this video, I can't wait to break those elements down. This is the Jordan Series 2. Let's get into it. The Jordan Series 2 has a lot going on, but one of the things that I think would be overlooked about the Series 2 is the fact that it is the first Jordan shoe to use a vulcanized outsole. What that basically means is that the rubber used has been treated a certain way to make it more durable, and then when it comes to constructing the shoe, that rubber slab, I guess, is attached directly to the shoe's upper. I say slab because then this tape keeps it all in place that wraps around where we would typically find the midsole. In vulcanized shoes, we don't have any foam or cushioning, so to speak, that we've come to expect in a lot of lifestyle shoes. That doesn't sound overly comfortable, but I assure you, for day-to-day wear, it really isn't that much of a problem. I mean, I probably wouldn't be running in them, but I have seen worse. Actually, while I wouldn't run in them, these shoes, or shoes like it that use a vulcanized construction, are really popular with skaters. We see a lot of Vulc options on skate shoes, and the reason is because of the reduced material between the foot and whatever surface it is that you're putting your shoe on. Those guys are able to feel the board a lot more. I do have a bit that I want to talk about with the Series 2, in particular those storytelling elements, but because they're kind of dotted around every part of the shoe, I'll talk about those separately. Before I get into that part, given I've already spoken about the outsole and midsole setup to some extent, I'll talk about the upper. And with the upper, it's relatively simple. It's basically an all suede upper with a canvas tongue. The suede that's used in the Series 2 is, I've got no idea what the technical term is, but I'm going to go with like hairy. It's quite coarse, but works for this type of shoe. You know, given it's got that skate shoe-esque silhouette, and you'd probably be wearing this day to day and bashing it about quite a bit, it looks like it's a suede that'll hold up pretty well if you do get some scuff marks and whatnot happening. The color blocking in the Series 2 is the same for both models that have been released so far, and that is basically a really harsh contrast between the front and the back. There is typically a darker tone at the front and then a lighter tone at the back. One really cool feature on the upper of the Series 2 are these stretch panels that you can see in between the two colored suedes at the bottom area of the eye stay. Those stretch panels work to give a really flexible fit for the Series 2. That means that if you've got a regular width foot or a wider width foot, this is going to accommodate that fit to some extent. And because it's a stretch panel, you're not really penalized for a overly roomy fit if you've got a more narrow foot. Pretty clever for this type of shoe, and I'm really glad to see them employ something like that in a lifestyle model. As far as comfort goes, while it's nothing to write home about, it's not bad either. The feel of the Series 2 would be similar for me to what you're getting on something like a Adidas Campus or Gazelle, maybe even something like a Vans Old School or Era. If you've got a pair of those shoes, I think that's what you can expect as far as feel goes. And the sizing is forgiving. I find it to run a touch long, so keep that in mind if you are ordering these online. If you like your shoes to fit snug or really true, maybe go down half a size, but I went my true to size and they feel fine. Now to get to the storytelling elements of the shoe, and that is where I think this shoe absolutely shines. The version I've got in my hands here that I'm talking about today is the Dear Dolores version. There was a model made available before this called the Dear Dean version, and those two names are not randomly chosen names. They're representing someone who was really significant in Michael Jordan's journey getting to where he got to. Dean White was Michael Jordan's coach at North Carolina, and Dolores Jordan is his mum. And I really like the way the Jordan brand have done that. Not only have they named the colorway after a particular figure who was important in Michael Jordan's life, they've actually gone and etched those names onto the shoe itself to really separate those shoes from the other shoes that are released as part of this range. The messages continue as we move through the shoe. Printed on the insole of the right foot is "Swing for the Fences" as a reminder to continue to push yourself. It's something that Michael Jordan lived by his whole career, and I'm pretty sure he continues to do that now. Finally, on the outsole, we've got a few different messages. On one outsole, we've got "It went down in the backyard." On the other outsole, we've got "There was never any doubt." Then on the white circles around the forefoot of the shoe's outsole, we've got the numbers 45/2 printed. Those messages on the outsole are about the relationship that Michael Jordan had with his brother, Larry Jordan, and also his own ambition to believe in himself to be the best that there was. The two had a great relationship growing up, but were ultra competitive. At that point in their lives, Larry Jordan was actually the better basketball player of the two. And so the 45/2 references how Michael Jordan come to select, I guess, the number 23 to be his playing number. 45 at the time was the number that Larry was playing in. He simply divided that number by 2 because he thought if he could be half as good as Larry, then that would be good enough. The Jordan Series 2 does an amazing job of telling the Michael Jordan story the best way that it can be told on a shoe. It pays its respects to important people in his life by naming the specific colorways after them and then inscribing them on the shoe. His coach at North Carolina and his mother. And then at the core of the shoe, we've got other messages that reference that relationship, that competitiveness that he had with his brother, who was pivotal in Michael Jordan pushing himself at an early age. What we can't forget about though is Michael Jordan's own mindset that got him to where he wanted to get to, and that has also been honored in this shoe through other messages on either the outsole or the insole. I am a huge fan of these shoes. I think outside of all that, they actually feel comfortable enough and they look awesome. The colorways do take a little bit to get used to just because there is such a heavy contrast between the two colors. But to be honest, I think that only adds an element of difference between all of the other shoes on the market at the moment. I'm really interested to hear what you think about the Series 2. Let me know down in the comments below, but until the next video, laters.